During the medieval and early modern periods, craftsmen played a vital role in society, and their activities were often regulated and organized through guilds, a powerful and influential institution that shaped economies, politics, and urban life. Guilds were associations of artisans and tradespeople that controlled the practice of a specific craft in a given city or region, ensuring quality, setting prices, and training new craftsmen. Craftsmen in the medieval and early modern periods were skilled laborers who created goods by hand. They specialized in a particular trade or craft, which required years of training and experience. These trades varied widely and included professions such as blacksmiths, forged metal items such as tools, weapons, horseshoes, and agricultural implements. Carpenters worked with wood to construct buildings, furniture, and ships. Weavers produced textiles and fabrics, often working with wool, linen, or silk. Cobblers, shoemakers, made and repaired shoes. Masons built structures out of stone, including cathedrals, castles, and city walls. Bakers produced bread and other baked goods. Tanners processed animal hides into leather for use in clothing, armor, and goods like saddles. Goldsmiths and silversmiths crafted jewelry and other fine objects from precious metals. Stonemasons specialized in the cutting and shaping of stone for construction and sculpture. Craftsmen were often concentrated in urban areas, where they lived and worked in neighborhoods or districts alongside others practicing the same trade. Training to become a craftsman was a long and structured process that usually began in childhood. Boys, and sometimes girls, depending on the trade, would start as apprentices working under a master craftsman. The apprentice system typically lasted several years, during which the apprentice would live in the master's household and receive food, lodging, and training in exchange for labor. After completing the apprenticeship, the individual became a journeyman, able to work for wages but still under the supervision of a master. To become a master craftsman, one had to produce a masterpiece that demonstrated the skills of the craft and be accepted into the guild. Only masters could open their own workshops and train apprentices. Guilds were associations of craftsmen or merchants who oversaw the practice of their trade in a particular area. They existed to protect their members' economic interests, set quality standards, and maintain a monopoly over their craft or trade. There were two main types of guilds: craft guilds, artisan guilds. These were formed by craftsmen practicing a particular trade, e.g., weavers, blacksmiths, bakers. Their main focus was on controlling the standards of the craft, training new craftsmen, and regulating production. Merchant guilds. These guilds were organized by merchants rather than craftsmen, and they controlled the buying, selling, and trading of goods. Merchant guilds often dominated the economic life of towns and cities, sometimes overlapping with the political power of craft guilds. Guilds had a wide range of functions and responsibilities. Setting quality standards. Guilds were responsible for maintaining high standards of craftsmanship. They set strict regulations about how goods should be produced, the quality of materials, and the final products. This ensured that consumers received reliable products and that guild members' reputations were upheld. Monopoly and market control. Guilds had monopolies on specific trades within their localities, meaning that only guild members could legally practice the craft in the town or region. This allowed them to control prices, wages, and the supply of goods. Non-guild members or outsiders attempting to set up shop were often excluded from practicing the trade. Training and education. Guilds played a crucial role in educating new craftsmen through the apprenticeship system. They regulated the number of apprentices that a master could take on and ensured that apprentices were properly trained. Guilds also supervised the progression from apprentice to journeyman to master. Economic regulation. Guilds were heavily involved in regulating local economies. They controlled prices, production quotas, and wages to prevent undercutting and protect their members' livelihoods. Guilds also worked to prevent the flooding of the market with cheap, low-quality goods. Social and charitable functions. Guilds often had a social and charitable aspect, providing for members in times of sickness, poverty, or death. Many guilds maintained funds to support widows and orphans of deceased members or to care for members who were too old or ill to work. Guilds also organized feasts, religious ceremonies, and festivals to foster community bonds. Political influence. Guilds were influential in local politics, especially in medieval cities. In some towns, guilds were so powerful that they effectively ran the local government. Guild leaders often held prominent positions in city councils and had a say in laws that affected trade and commerce. Enforcement of rules. Guilds had strict rules and regulations regarding their trades, and they enforced these rules rigorously. Violating guild rules could result in fines, loss of membership, or even imprisonment. By maintaining discipline within the guild, they ensured that members adhered to the agreed-upon standards of practice. By the late 17th and 18th centuries, the power of guilds began to wane, particularly during the early modern period. Several factors contributed to this decline: rise of capitalism and free markets. The emergence of capitalism and the increasing demand for more goods at lower prices disrupted the guild system. Guilds, with their rigid regulations and monopolies, were unable to keep up with the evolving economic landscape. Industrialization. The advent of the Industrial Revolution, with its mechanized production and factories, made the traditional guild-based system of handcraft production obsolete in many industries. Factories could produce goods faster and more cheaply than small artisan workshops. State interference. In many countries, powerful monarchs and emerging nation-states sought to reduce the power of guilds. By the early modern period, governments began regulating trade and production directly, taking over roles previously filled by guilds. Innovation and competition. Innovations in production methods, transportation, and the spread of knowledge through the printing press and the rise of literacy meant that craftsmen could no longer rely on their trade secrets for economic advantage. Competition from non-guild producers grew as market economies developed. Despite their decline, guilds left a lasting impact on the development of trades and commerce in Europe, shaping the structure of modern labor and business practices. While guilds as they existed in the medieval period eventually faded, their influence can still be seen in modern trade unions, professional associations, and licensing boards. These modern entities serve some of the same functions as guilds did, such as protecting members' interests, regulating training, and setting professional standards. Craftsmen and guilds were at the heart of medieval and early modern economies. Guilds played a crucial role in regulating trades, training new generations of craftsmen, and maintaining economic stability. Although their power diminished with the rise of capitalism and industrialization, their legacy continues to influence how we organize labor and professional standards today.